Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. I'm just sitting here. I'm thinking of a lot of things in my quiet. I sit quietly a lot, and I think about my position, my children's possible potential future inherited position of nothingness, especially if with all of the sick that I'm experiencing, and what I can visually see as far as stimulus being visually displayed or portrayed a certain way on some of the local area where I don't see a lot of my children in whatever syndicated publicist is working on the New York broadcast. They just, I don't know if it's just that they're not portrayed accurately, but there are times where I don't even see them at all. I don't know who owns, if you own syndicate. I don't know if it, like, I don't know how any of that works. I know I've heard the terminology from a human, that it's syndicated radio, but even that, it's not like a spiritual connection. It's just something I sit there and I'm like, now when you say that, what is it that actually means? Because it seems like that's really important, but I don't know why they don't explain it. But anyway, so I'm sitting here and then I quietly run, like, where did I go wrong? Like, coming out of Lou and Lynn. Like, if my grandfather Anthony and Mariah were on the correct anchor, and then Lou and Lynn, were they on the correct spot? Did it get moved to where I was then born? And then the fact that everything got ripped to shreds when Benjamin was born. Not because I wanted it to, just because some higher power than myself did whatever they did. And then today I was looking for environmental signs. I have a personal body scar pattern of some event that happened, that is out of the ordinary. It's not typical human damage sustained. I have a lot of that now in my 40s, but in my 20s. So, and you can see the highlight, the amount of light coming through. So, which is consistent with the birds and the balding, the no hair bald pattern that I've documented. And then comes up in my time stuck in New York, not where I wanted to be ever. I thought that Nick was coming for me and we were going to enjoy a nice life, but whatever that included, I didn't know. I didn't have any expectation. I just knew that he was my whatever. So, or Mark, which I don't, again, it depends on the moment and how much on and off this has been. And then I'm thinking of the real estate that I did, which was Queens and Long Island Board of Realtors. I had to go to a school called the American Real Estate School, where there was some federal class or continuing ed that had to be taught. So I learned it, and then that was the law regulating whatever. And then, but it was all taught. It wasn't like I developed this. And then at every client closing of the house, whether it be a sale or a purchase, I would try to show up for their last day or their first day into their new happy whatever transaction. But there was always a very large presence in the room because I am not that I there was several people in the transaction. When I bought a house outside of New York, when I was trying to leave New York around the conception of Alexander, and was purchased but with a loan from some bank, there was a title company involved, but the transaction in Virginia was very different than the transactions in New York. I didn't realize the significance at the time because I wasn't comparing and contrasting, but I insisted on showing up and sitting through the closing because I thought that's what you had to do. I didn't even know that most of the time you don't need to show up because New York was so different. So that happened. But then there's some, I've heard of this global real estate being sold. That was not something that was offered through Queens, Long Island Board of Realtors. They were strictly Queens and Long Island. That was Nassau, Suffolk. It was the three counties, and that was it. Brooklyn had their own whatever, Bronx, and I don't really know how they worked per se. I had an agent that worked for me that wanted me to help him with a short sale in the Bronx, which I did or tried to, until something, and we put it on New York State MLS, but something happened. It wasn't selling. It wasn't, I don't know if the system was off. Something was going on. And then I don't own the listing because I'm just an agent or an associate broker. I'm not the actual broker of record. So I left the firm, and then the listing gets transferred to the broker's account, and then he can either reassign the agent or whatever, but it's the broker's responsibility to contact the clients. When I left, because I've left two brokerages, I was told that I wasn't able to contact the clients because then it would look like I was trying to interfere in the transaction. So that rested upon the shoulders of the brokers themselves. But there was always lawyers involved that went to law school. For myself, I always relied upon their efficiency and their knowledge to keep me safe in the transaction, themselves safe in the transaction, and their clients safe in the transaction. And that's really it on the, and what's on the front face of the internet at the official Queens Long Island Board of Realtors website, so clients can do a search, is the same thing that I had access to, which I think then eventually something happened with Realtor.com. So it's like a stock just of the house. At first they didn't even have transaction histories available, but that's it. It's not very in depth, and I used to, like, I could print out a broker version or a client version. The only difference really was at the bottom. The broker version showed what the commission being offered out to the public if it was sold in-house or if a third party came in. And that was the only real difference, and who the listing agent was. So I don't know how they do. That's not my forte, global real estate. I heard that on the news the other day. There's some commercial about global whatever, like selling and buy, and I'm like, whoa. I was like, I didn't even know that was possible because I thought that you had to stay, like there's some kind of outside regulatory body, I don't know who, but I stayed just in Queens and Long Island. That was all that was offered to me, and that's all that I really looked for. Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxies, broken, and I'm in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361, still somewhere within this hole without a, it's like a no hair, bald spot on the wall of possibility is where I feel I've been trapped in. Today's November 15th, 2021.